Hi, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today for our live show about U.S. immigration law. We're taking your questions live. I'm in Los Angeles at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, a little bit before 4 today. But we come in every Tuesday, almost rain or shine. Today's going to be rainy. And take you 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and take your questions live about U.S. immigration. You know, the process is getting more and more complicated, as you all know. They're changing the laws on us pretty consistently. And so having an advocate for you could update you on what's going on becomes very, very helpful. And that's what we're here to do. The information provided here is not intended as individual legal guidance, though. For that, you need to have a private consultation because we got to talk about what's going on in your unique case. Everyone's different. But here's general understanding, general ideas. So you have a heads up what's going to go through the process, what to expect, and if you have problems when you need to contact a lawyer, which usually you should contact them anyways. But we're live on Instagram, LinkedIn, various YouTube channels, and on TikTok, taking your questions live again as we do every 4 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays. Definitely be back and subscribe if you haven't, especially on YouTube. That's probably the cleanest, easiest way to get a hold of us on these kind of questions. But if you wanted to have a private consultation, you have to go to our website and fill out our contact us page. It gives us some information about your background. You go to jqqlaw.com/contact. That's the place you go there. But also, if you have a marriage or fiance case, I strongly recommend downloading our Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide first. If you go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, again, the website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. We have a Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, 70 plus pages, going through the whole process there. It's going to be very helpful for you to understand what's going to happen, whether you're doing adjustment of status inside the U.S. or whether you're doing consular processing and dealing with that headache. It goes over the stuff you need to know. Plus, you have addendum, sample questions, sample declarations, affidavits, all this sort of stuff. Your mind will be blown how much free information is there on that PDF. You just go to website, put your email in, it'll be sent to you. But we also launched one for citizenship, naturalization, called the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. And for that, you go to our website, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. And on that site, you can put your information in and get a copy of that guide. That'll help you. 50 plus pages on that one, going through A to Z of the citizenship process. So you can read that before you even contact the immigration lawyer, know the process. Because what that helps is when you go and finally talk with an immigration lawyer, you ask really good questions. And the life, as you know, artificial intelligence is booming. More and more realizing it's, as they always said, the old sages and wise people would say, it's not about the answer, it's more about the question. And that's it right here. So by studying and knowing the immigration process better on your own as a consumer of it, a user of it, then when you do go talk to a professional, you can ask really pointed questions, and that'll help you get one, better answers, and two, test out to see if the person that's across the table from you, across the video screen from you, actually knows what they're talking about. And that's where important study, have a resource for this is. And so the questions really matter, but for that, you got to study first, know what questions to ask before you go professional. And that's why we have the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And we also have the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide at jqqlaw.com/citizenship. We have several questions coming in. Let's get to it. So Bernsko says, hi, I have an I-751 waiver case with income tax, car insurance, family therapy, 1.5 years, affidavits from in-laws. Worried if those not enough, what would be your strategy? Well, an I-751 is if you got your green card based on marriage, which your marriage is relatively new. When you got the green card, is less than 2 years old. The green card they give you is a 2-year conditional green card. You have to renew it before it expires. And if you're divorced in that process, then it makes it a little bit, headachy because like the government's less likely to believe it. But we always have, I've never had one of these denied before in one of our cases. Here you have really good evidence. You have the taxes, which they like a lot, car and health insurance, family therapy. That's really good to have there. And affidavits, that's a pretty good case. What I'll potentially add is if you have driver's licenses or IDs with the same address, include that as well. And then what else? If there's any financial documents you're joined or any home bills that existed, that would be good. If you have any travel records after getting the green card, if you went on any trips together, particularly plane trips, we could add those as well. But overall, those are pretty good ones. The taxes, therapy, insurances, those are pretty strong ones. Along the affidavits, and usually in this case, I would say usually 70% of the time they'll do an in-person interview and go talk with them and explain what happened. And unless the Trump administration rules real crazy with it, that's a good start. I have to see those documents myself. If you have a lease agreement, that's not one that they like. I've had it where people said they have joint health insurance and car insurance, and then when we look at the documents, the other person is not listed on there. So then we're like, oh, you don't have it. So not to say that you're lying to me or anything like that, but it has happened enough where when clients tell us we have this, and then we dig in and see it's actually different, I have to see it for myself. And that's why I'd recommend we can have a consultation session to kind of go through more detail, because can't really talk about your personal life here. I'm sure you probably have 2 or 3 more documents. Another aspect that's important for these I-751 waivers is when you got divorced, if it's still pending or not, if you timely filed it or when you filed it. A lot of things happen because right now, if it gets denied, you go to immigration court, it's going to be a really expensive hassle to deal with. So yeah, it's good to have an attorney on your side, or at least somebody to talk with who knows what they're doing. And on YouTube, we have tons of videos on your situation. We just do a lot of I-751 waiver cases, a lot of experience in it. So go to our YouTube videos, they'll help you out a lot. But overall, you're probably okay. I wouldn't say worry at all. But just have more security by talking with somebody, going through what's said, what's not said, was your address history changes there, if you update your address if necessary, all this kind of stuff. If you have an online account, just all these little nuanced stuff from experience that I know from doing this stuff, I could share with you. And I'd be happy to do that during a consultation session. Fees do apply. Go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact to fill that out, and we take it from there. Peppermint asks, I filed for my daughter over 21 in 2020. How long does it take at the Visa Center now? So it depends. Are you a U.S. citizen or green card holder, and is your daughter married or single? So all these different things are a factor. What I would recommend to do is go to Visa Bulletin. Just type in Visa Bulletin on Google and look up the most recent Visa Bulletin. This is a list of where people are in the line, Peppermint Barnes. And your category, based on what you told me, it could be F1, it could be F2B, it could be F3. So I don't know. So F1 is for adult unmarried children of U.S. citizens. F2B is adult unmarried children of green card holders. And F3 is adult married children. The first two are unmarried. This one's married. So they all have different timelines. And then also it depends on what country you're in. So there'll be delays in getting an interview, even if your case is current. So just too many factors here. I strongly recommend having an immigration attorney talk with you. And then also the idea that you filed when you're a green card and you became a citizen later. There's Child Status Protection Act issues to keep yourself into F2B, where you got to contact USCIS. It's complicated enough where you really should schedule a consultation so you can thoroughly go down what you need to prepare for, so don't make mistakes or cause unnecessary delays. But if you file when you were a green card holder and she's single, she didn't get married, then December 16th is what they're consular processing, what they're approving right now. So you still have at least 4 years, but these timelines go slower than you think. And also, it depends on what country you're in, because the embassy could take longer to schedule an interview. So that's the long and short of it. Right now, December 2016 is the date they're approving, but the timeline doesn't really give you a good estimate. So the line that you're in could not move at all for 2 years. That happens, or all of a sudden it jumps forward 3 years. So we never know what's actually going to happen. That's why how long things are going to take. It's a really jumbled up, large unknown number. But I just recommend prepping and ahead of time, knowing what you're going to deal with. And where you are. I've had people, when they're green card holders, file for their adult children, child gets married, that's a problem, and they get denied. Or we had a guy who had a girlfriend, had a child, and the embassy thought he was married, should have dropped out, and denied the case. And by the time they get to me, it was like, oh, we have to redo everything. It was a mess. So these are the kind of things you really want to prepare for. Valarama says, what happens if CBP officer cancels the visa? Can I reapply for a different visa category into U.S.? You could always reapply. But we got to see, did they just cancel and send you back voluntarily, or did they give you expedited removal? So either way, you can still apply for a new visa. If you got expedited removal, may need a waiver, so it's super complicated. Even if it was voluntarily, you didn't get a ban of some sort, they could still not give you the visa. So it's kind of all over the place. Okay, let's go back. I think Instagram, we had another question from Real TMC. Says, I had my naturalization interview on November 13th. And passed, but still now didn't get my oath ceremony scheduled. Why is it taking so long? San Diego office. That's not really taking too long. A month waiting for oath ceremony. It could be sometimes back in, 10 years ago, it would take 2, 3 years, sometimes 4 months to get an interview scheduled. So to me, that's not an abnormal timeline, unfortunately. Belize asks, out of DACA, my work permit expires August 2026. Are they still renewing? Yeah, they're completely renewing right now. So you should definitely keep an eye out. Probably file at the 150-day mark. It's 120 day, 150 days. Sorry, I can't remember what they say. Some people do it sooner, still approve. I can't remember if it's 120 or 150, but if you go online, you'll find it pretty easily. Miss Gold says, can I travel if I have my valid green card? Most likely, but I don't know about your background. If you have certain issues that could create problems, you might have got your green card incorrectly and they catch it this time around you're coming in. You might have certain arrest issues or history that's problematic. Your family history might be bad, like you're, taking part in some military operation somewhere, and that affects you some way. So can you travel? I can't say that because I'm not talking with you in person. I'm not going over your history, so I can't provide that kind of legal advice. Bernstein says, do you recommend going interview with an attorney? 100%, 100%. Bernstein, if you're going to at this point, if you're going to, unless you have a really clean case, which a waiver case is automatically not considered clean, I do not recommend going on your own and be prepared. There's a good chance you take the attorney there, and the attorney just sits there, and you're like, why did I pay the attorney? But it's better to have than not to have. It's like having insurance kind of thing. That you really want to be prepared for that. And most importantly, if you have us come with you, it depends on where you are and what the time is. Not sure I come, but even more important than that is the preparation session for the interview that we do. So in these kind of things, we have like a 30-minute to hour prep session going over all the stuff that could be asked. So you hear it once, you prep for it, because it gets emotional. It goes into your personal life. And then also what documents, updated documents you have, we review and discuss those. And so those are the kind of things you want to prep. So it's not just an attorney coming with each interview. It's a lawyer prepping you for the interview, both with the questions, both psychologically, and also updating and referencing documents. So you're ready to go answer questions, punch it out, and be very prepared. Sid Mom says, what is a typical processing time you are observing for NIW I-140 standard petitions? We never do standard petitions, so, why do that? Just do pre-processing. So it says, what is the status of the H1B wage increase proposal that has increased? Well, it came out today, several hundred pages. So I would just say just put a PDF of it into ChatGPT and see what it tells you. And Sid Mohammed follows up, can one file H1B amendment extension based upon a minor salary annual increase more than 6 months for H1B? I don't handle the H1Bs in my office, but this is just getting too detailed and stuff like that. So I'm not going to get into those kind of things right now. And then finally says, what would be a good time for the first time H1B stamping next year, given all the visa appointments? It's better you don't leave if you're going to. I don't recommend leaving the United States on H1B if you don't have a valid one already right now, because we don't know when you're going to have an interview to be able to come back in. Quadruple S says, are CBIS transfers for F1 students in the U.S. currently on hold for citizens of 19 countries? Probably. I don't know about CBIS transfers but if you're doing a change of status and things like that, there's probably a hold. They didn't mention CBIS being one of them. I have not been contacted by anyone who's had that issue, so I don't know for sure. But I think it's unlikely. But I don't have confirmation of that. Nilu asks, my husband's from Iran, had an interview in 2023. He was put in AP. Sorry to hear that. What will happen now with the trial ban situation? I'm a citizen from Iran. I don't know. I mean, they're going to hold on to your case. Hopefully they don't deny it, but we don't exactly know what they're going to do. It's such a new situation, but hopefully it doesn't get denied. It just stays at least in administrative processing until some better solution comes. Because if they deny the case, then they got to restart the whole thing. That's a disaster. Okay, we get a lot of YouTube questions. A lot of people on YouTube watching. Okay. Is this safe? Okay, let's see. Is perm-based I-140 processing time less than EB2 NIW processing? We don't do perm at our office, but each case is different. I wouldn't sit and compare this kind of stuff. Ali says, hi, is this safe to travel internationally? I'm partial ban country with a 2-year conditional green card. No criminal issue, no immigration issues. Generally, is this safe? I can't say that. I don't know. It's supposed to be safe if you have no issues, but one is people don't know if they have issues. I talk to people all the time. They don't even realize they have issues. I had a guy contact me, and he had criminal history, didn't even realize it, and got stuck at the airport. So one is clients usually don't know if they even have immigration issues, so that's a side thing. But if you're worried, just don't go. This president changes things on a whim. Typically, you can't ban a green card holder, but they're doing a lot of wild stuff. So unless it's urgent, just don't go. You're welcome, Balarath. So now, what is a good way to contact USCIS to seek clarity on pending NIW I-140 application? I wouldn't contact USCIS to seek clarity on anything. That's a useless endeavor. Spawn says, I'm waiting for my wife to go for a green card interview to El Salvador. What would you recommend hiring a lawyer to go with us to the interview? A lawyer cannot go to the embassy interview with you. So if there's adjustment of status you're doing in the United States, that's one thing. But at the interview at the embassy, they don't allow a lawyer to go with you. Sinwan follows up, NIW I-140 has been pending since last 13 months. So what would you suggest at this time, given the filing of premium processing lead to RFE? I don't make the assumptions that a lot of lawyers do, that if you do premium processing, it's going to lead to an RFE. It's just always different. You probably should have done it a long time ago, but if you're frustrated and you want to get a decision and you want to know what's going on, then pay the premium processing. If you can wait a little bit longer and do that, that's the solution there. Burns to Go says, I have proof of family therapy. We were therapy 1.5 years, joint bank statement, international flight tickets, but no lease or utility bills for I-751. That looks pretty strong. Again, I have to look at the documents myself and then analyze how you present. So if you're going to do an interview, what happened? I also need to review your divorce certificate. I've had people who didn't have the finalized divorce. They thought they did. It wasn't signed by the government. All sorts of different things popping up. But that's it. So I'd recommend, just having a consultation, going through it. We are getting some DM messages or direct messages on these sites. I don't respond to direct messages. People have to contact our office or our website, jqklaw.com. And for that, then we'd schedule a private consultation afterwards to talk. All right, so let's start our TikTok questions. Thank you everyone from TikTok. We already got a bunch of likes. I appreciate it. I'm sure we had a bunch of people ask the same question over and over again. But thankfully, share the feed so other people know to come here and ask questions about the U.S. immigration process and like as well. One time we got like 10,000 likes in half an hour. It was incredible. Watt says, is it a good idea to upload more evidence after 5 months post-filing and haven't heard back? It depends on what the evidence is, if it's needed. 5 months pending is like no time from immigration perspective. But is it a good idea? Because I don't know what you're going to document. I don't want to give my stamp of approval on that idea because you might upload stuff that I don't recommend. Bernstein Go says, thank you for answering. You're welcome. I wish you the best in the process. It's Your Boy says, are you Russian? No. My haircut may look Russian. I get that a lot. Cat Mom says, any speculation on any N400 should take, how long it should take? Typically this year, it's been taking 2, 3, 4 months for most cases. I have one case that's taken over a year, but most of them are only a few months. But it always depends on your local office, your history, all that kind of stuff. You never know with immigration when it comes to timelines. Prop says, hello, sir. I'm done with Asylum interview on December 3rd. Do you think I will get a decision? I've seen people get it immediately, and it'll take a year to get it. So I don't have any opinion. It's just affected by the pause, most likely. Is LMU a good law school? Well, I went there, but I went there and graduated, I don't know, it's like 16 years ago. So right now I haven't followed the rankings, but I went there. I liked it a lot. So it was a good system. Baskin says, if I have CAT, a cancellation of removal, CAT is Convention Against Torture, and final removal, and ICE gave me a notice to remove to third party, what do I do? Our office does not handle any immigration court cases or CAT and final removal, that. So I'm not a good resource for answering those kind of questions. Prof says, hello, sir. I'm done. Oh, yeah, answer your question. Kimsey says, what if you went to an interview and the officer interview is very disrespectful? Unfortunately, that happens sometimes. It's very disrespectful. You contact a supervisor. But unfortunately, most times we just let it go because these are government jobs. Nothing you do about it. If you get the approval, you get the approval and just go with it. But I hate to give that answer, but it's really not much you can do. David Sam, go to LMU Law for next year. Go Lions. God bless. LMU now, Loyola Marymount University. There's a couple of them. I went to the one in Los Angeles. I'm not sure what the logo was. I didn't go to the college, but we call it Loyola. Now they changed it. Maybe it is LMU they call it now. They keep changing the name and the branding. Kim says, where do we type out questions? Right where you did. Kim says, what if you went to an interview and the officer, okay, you answered your question. Do you have any success recently curing lockbox errors? I mean, every year there'll be a couple. Yeah, when there's lockbox errors, this is when you send your application in to USCIS and they don't accept it for various reasons. The last one I had was in February, and we got that fixed after a lot of back and forth. And that was with the help of a group called the USCIS Ombudsman's Office. Unfortunately, Trump administration, after we got help, thankfully, shut it down. So it's gotten very, very difficult to get it to fix it. You might need to get congressional help back and forth. So it's possible to fix. Depends on what the error is and how we could prove the error. But it's not easy. It's a lot of work, and we used to do it for free when we could get it fixed. But it's become so much work. That's like extra work we charge for even now because it might take several hours of work trying to get that to work, get that fixed. Is asylum green card holder travel to Thailand without an issue? It depends on what you send your asylum application. If you have a refugee travel document, they accept that. There's more deeper stuff there. It's not an easy answer. Tanzania says, hello, sir. Thanks for this show. You're welcome. If I have expired green card with extension letter, can I travel? Generally speaking, a person who has expired green card could travel with their extension notice with it for child purposes. That's what it's there for. Now, whether you could do it with your background, I don't really know, so I can't really say. Bersico follows up. I'm out of the country now. Joint I-751 still pending. Divorce will be finalized in March. I'll return back to the U.S. soon. Is this safe to return back after 4 months staying out? So this is the particular situation I was worried about, Bersico, that your divorce isn't finalized. So 100% schedule consultation. That is the no man's land you're in. The more your time in the States, the better. Because, for example, you might get like a denial notice. If you haven't gotten an RFE, you probably won't get one. But if you get denied, current CB policy as a Trump is that they won't let you back in. So if an NTA is issued, not, but potentially you might get an NTA issue. So it's complicated. You're probably okay. I don't want to scare you, but the sooner you get back here, the better. Not be outside while a case like that's pending, especially if your divorce isn't finalized. Mehdi says, "Wow, Kashi, I'm in love with Joy." Okay, I'm not sure who Kashi is, but thanks. I appreciate it. Maria says, "Got married twice. Second time filing I-485. Should I be worried? Old marriage resident area. Unfortunately, you should be. USCIS takes a hardcore view where they're going to look at your first case and potentially accuse you of marriage fraud in the first case. So not only do you have to prove your second adjustment status, the second marriage case is valid, that everyone has to do in that kind of case, you got to go back and make sure to prove that the first one's valid too. And for that, they may accuse you of marriage fraud if you don't do a good job. Now, you might not have kept documents your first relationship. It was less than a year. So it's like you 100% need to have a lawyer and work hard on that case. If you get accused of marriage fraud, it's a nightmare. Monster says, I'm Afghan. I'm married to U.S. citizen. American kid. We were married outside USA. I came in, visitor application, and applied for adjustment of status. You're probably going to hold and pause your case right now. I'm not sure which direction is going to go. Spawn says, what's the average time for an I-130 application to be completed? I submitted a petition for my wife, and we still don't have a date for the final interview. So you don't necessarily, nowadays you might get an interview for the I-130, but first of all, you're a green card holder or citizen. Second of all, is it I-130 for adjustment of status or consular processing? Third, it depends on which field office you're handling. And so I don't know the time for every field office. Fourth, is there removal history, any criminal history, any issues that are more complex? So a lot more levels of analysis have to happen to answer your question. Beer says, husband has been on administrative processing since January 23rd in Jerusalem with Palestinian passport. Unfortunately, you're on the ban right now, so you're stuck. Tanzania says, can I contact you for a consultation? Yes, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. That's jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in the information there so we get to know you and your case a little bit better, and we'll respond accordingly. Michelle asks, hello, sir. Please, is it safe to go for adjustment of status interview? Well, it depends on which field office it is, what your background is, what status you have. Your question is too general. I need more information. So where it says second application we filed after grace period already accepted, lockbox is giving AI answer. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Should we keep asking lockbox to fix it or go with current filing and appeal later? I don't know. That's too case specific. I need to go over what happened. I can't advise you. Monster, I got a date for next month. Okay, I got to see what's going on in your case. A lot of these cases are really specific, and I need to get more information. If you're just checking it out and you're tuning into our channel, please ask a question about U.S. immigration. We'll do our best to give you a general educational answer about what's going on. Very confusing process. New Jersey guy says, U.S. citizen, I-130 for wife in Cuba, processing time approximately. So the I-130 portion, 12 to 14 months if done properly, sometimes faster. The process for getting an immigrant visa, I don't handle Cuban cases typically. I think they might be on the trial ban list. If so, if it's an immigrant visa trial ban, there's no time frame. Plus, I don't know how long it takes for processing Cuban. I'm in California. We don't handle too many Cuban cases, mostly Florida. So I don't have exact timelines, but they might be on a ban list. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that. Pamir says, I'm from a banned country. My U.S. citizen wife filed I-130 for me. Will it go through? We don't know if it will go through or not, or if it's paused, or what the issues is going to find with it. This is also new. Faith asks, hi, how are you? How are you? I'm doing good. At 5/23, Kamal says, my husband's DQ month is October. How long are you going to wait for an interview, visa, CR1? Well, that depends on the U.S. embassy that you're dealing with. I recommend going to a website, go to Google, type in DOS, visa tools, or IV tools, DOS IV tools. And there'll be a website that comes up from the Department of State. And you could put, in your case, I think you're probably immediate relative, or if you're a green card holder, put a preference category. And then put the name of the city where the embassy is. And it'll give you their estimated time of who's getting interview notices that are based on when they're documentally qualified. Now, note that that's when they get the interview notice. Notice may say interviews in 3 months or something like that. So it's not exact. And it's not 100% consistent. I would say it's like 85% consistent on that site. But that's a way to check it out. Miss Cole says, a valid green card expiring in 2033. I was put under petition by CBP for overstaying and put to see an immigration judge in May 2024. This was adjourned 0828. Can I travel abroad? I wouldn't try. I don't know if you have a valid green card. Why would you put it in immigration court? I don't understand what's going on. We don't handle immigration court cases. It's not a good resource on that, but it doesn't make sense. But if you have any form of court, it's not recommended that you travel overseas or just leave the country. Michelle asks, I overstayed my visa. Please, is it safe to go for an interview? It depends. I can't say. It depends on which embassy, which first of all, is your case good or not? But secondly, each field office is different. San Diego, it's not looking good. Other places, maybe it's okay. You kind of have to give it a shot and prep for potentially being detained as well. But we need to see, first of all, what's going on with your case, your background. My question is, can I travel abroad a short family vacation? It doesn't matter what the reason for the vacation is, how long it is. The act of leaving the country could be problematic if you have like a case open at the immigration court. I don't understand how you have a case if you say you have a valid green card that's unexpired, and why CBP overstaying immigration. So by overstaying, do you mean being abroad too long? So just general, if you have an immigration court case, you don't want to travel. Moon TikTok says, friend, how to reschedule assignment interview, hasn't got a new date. Is it okay to get married and apply or adjust? It's the, I mean, if he got married to a U.S. citizen, wants to adjust, that's something to look into. We got to first see if what was going on. Miss Gold says overstayed. Green card holders can't overstay. Maybe overstay outside the U.S. I'm not sure. But Moon Talk, it's not impossible. We do handle cases where people have asylum cases pending and file for a green card, but there's a lot more we need to go. We need to send talk with that person. So please ask your friend to schedule a consultation. jqqlaw.com/contact. That's the place to go to the website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Valmar says, how stringent is TN visa? It's not a matter of being stringent or not stringent. You have to satisfy the requirements and be able to show it. So now, if you're going to do a management consultant, they're a little more stringent on that one. But if you have the proper documents, education, work history background, employment documents, it's not a matter of being stringent. It's just a matter of satisfying the requirements. And then have your background for it too. You're welcome, Miss Cole. Kofi says, my brother's I-130 was approved a day after his interview. Does it mean he will get the green card? No, you have to have the I-485 approved as well. Michelle Gunther says, New York. New York's pretty much okay, but Lord Son says, I have a 2-year green card. Can I travel out of the country? People with 2-year green cards can travel outside the country. I'm not sure if you can because I don't know anything about you. Moon Talk says, where are you based? I'm in Los Angeles, and my associate attorney is in Virginia, but we handle cases from across the country. All right, well, that was nonstop questions. If you haven't already on TikTok, please press like so we get some more attention and share this feed. And if you haven't heard already, we have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. You get down a 70-page guide going through the fiancé marriage visa process or green card process. Again, the website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And then we have a guide called the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. You could download that guide at jqqlaw.com/citizenship. And Rosalia, thank you for sharing the live. Much appreciated. Caesar says, good afternoon, Khosravi. Good afternoon to you too as well. Valar says, heard H1B is more scrutinized than TN. In general, they're going to scrutinize, make sure you have the paperwork right. It's not a fake job or something like that. You're getting the payments. These are generic kind of stuff to see what's more scrutinized or not. Essentially, just you have to have a good case. It's not comparable. Each person is different, and you just have to have your case be good, and that's it. So even if it is, they're supposed to scrutinize everything. It's part of the job. But you got to have the answers ready to go. The Lord's Son says, I'm in Columbus and from Cameroon. I have a 2-year green card. Can't travel out the country. So Lord's Son, there's a lot more personal information I need about your history in your life. How you got a green card, what your family members doing, what you're doing, what you do for work, any arrest history, maybe get police records, FBI background checks, review what's going on with your relationship, any travel history, any document issues for your documents. We got to do all that. And regardless of what I say, even after all that, returning to the United States is always up to a CBP, Customs Border Protection. They have final authority. You might have someone the same name as yours that's doing criminal stuff, and it comes up in the system as you. Now, there's no way for me to check that, but that may be something that's possible, and then you got to deal with that. So the question of whether it's safe or not, people, every time they get in the car is insured. They have insurance. People have house insurance. We have life insurance. You think you're going to die? No, but we still buy this insurance. Most of the time, we don't need it, thankfully. So that's I can't give that kind of safety. We always get this question every week. Is it safe for me to go? I'm not God. I can't give you that kind of certainty. Valar says, great info. How do we, if my friend in banned from USA, does CP say it? No, I mean, if there's a travel ban against a country, they say it, but if they're banned themselves, we'd have to see. Sometimes they don't tell us, and sometimes they were banned at the CBP. They will give them a transcript that says it. Maybe do a FOIA request, but it depends on why you would think they're banned and try to look into it. It's not an easy thing to find out if they don't know already with documentation. Texas Boy said, Attorney John's consultations are well worth it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Laura said, we're going to answer your question. Thank you, everyone who's joining in. Appreciate throw out your questions. Laura says, okay, thank you. And going to connect you. Okay, I appreciate it, Laura. Son. God bless. And thank you for coming on the show. We only got a couple more minutes. If you have questions about U.S. immigration, please shoot them out, and we'll try to give you some answers. Brian Matt says, I have a final order of removal. I was out in habeas corpus. I missed my yearly check-in. Any advice? Unfortunately, I don't handle cases with removal orders or immigration court or check-ins and stuff. It's not my specialty, so I don't want to talk about a topic that I don't deal with on a daily basis, where I give you some good advice or good just guidance or information on it. So I'll leave that to my colleagues who are more expert at that kind of stuff. All right. So a reminder. So if you want to schedule a private consultation, please go to jqqlaw.com/contact and download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Even if you're not a marriage green card case, download it, see what's in there. You can learn a lot from it. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, the website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Having said that, I think we'll close out the show. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. One more question. Rooster says, did the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi stop issuing visas for Somali applicants? I don't have firsthand knowledge, but most likely based on the travel ban and stuff, I think so. But I don't have Somali clients. I haven't looked at it myself. It applies to them. If they're from Yemen or from Iran, yeah, most likely. I have clients from those countries, but I don't have any Somali clients. I don't know for sure, but they're on the list, unfortunately, of the Trump administration, constantly saying bad stuff about Somalia. And so that's going to be happening. Thank you for joining. If you want to schedule a consultation again, go to jqqlaw.com/contact. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. I'll be back again next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions about U.S. immigration law. In the meantime, our YouTube page has all these questions you've ever asked. They're already in clip format, either on our main page, U.S. Immigration Talk, or our clips page, U.S. Immigration Talk Clips. All of these questions have been answered over and over again there. And we like doing it live because people usually want to ask live. But if you search our video history, most likely 99% of these questions will be answered there already. And then you can schedule a consultation to make a more pointed, answer for your specific case, where you can talk about the things that are necessary that'll be different from other people. Thank you so much. God bless. Be safe. And I'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye-bye.